Hi, folks. John Kyo here, and welcome to another episode in the 10 by 10 series. In the 10 by 10 series, I talk with 10 experts for 10 minutes on different topics. The topic for today is food opportunism or food fraud and food crime. And I'm delighted to have with me Ron McNaughton from Scotland. Ron, good morning or good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Delighted to be here and delighted to see you again. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time indeed. We were just chatting before we came on about where we met before, and it varies from China to Ireland to Dubai. So we have crossed paths over the last number of years. And Ron, tell us a little bit about you and the work you do.
Well, yeah, John, thanks. Thanks again for the opportunity. I'm the head of the Scottish Food Crime and Incidents Unit at Food Standards Scotland. Food Standards Scotland is a public sector food body for Scotland, and it's in place to protect health and the well-being of consumers. We're a competent authority, but we're also an enforcement authority. My background, I was a senior police officer in Scotland for a number of years and moved to this job in 2015. So I've been the head of the Scottish Food Crime and Incidents Unit since then. So for the best part of 9 years now. The SFCIU, as we call it, that incorporates our incident response function along with the investigations and intelligence gathering arm of the organisation. And in that crime team, we've got a team of intelligence development officers, a team of intelligence analysts, and a team of investigators. And like myself, the majority of people working within that team have a background in law enforcement.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I think, Ron, when you started in that role in 2019, it was very unusual to have professional, career police officers in that role. But how important is that skill set in tackling food crime?
Well, I think my background, as I said, was in the investigation of serious and organised crime, and in particular, the investigation into the distribution and supply of controlled drugs. And after Horsemeat in 2000, or the Horsemeat incident in 2013, there was a review carried out by Professor Chris Elliott, and he highlighted that there was a real need to bring individuals with that background into this world, into this role. So it's very important to have that role within this area, but it's also important to have other skills there as well. So we work very closely with environmental health officers in the local authorities in Scotland. So there's a real a mix of skill sets there. So, but I think when you get into some of these complex and protracted investigations, it's very, very like a serious, protracted police investigation. I think that's where our experience, skills, and ability come to the fore in terms of being able to collect the required evidence and present it appropriately so that the prosecutor can make best use of that.
Yeah, I think that point, your last point, is critical in capturing, investigating, but also preserving the evidence that will stand up in court. What kind of success or failures have you had recently with convictions?
COVID striking has had a major impact on our ability to get cases to court and through court. We've got about, I think, 5 or 6 cases waiting to go through the process at the moment, all sitting at probably the highest level on petition. But we did have our first conviction in 2023 relating to an individual who was distributing and supplying a thing called DNP, which is an industrial chemical, which people within the bodybuilding industry and individuals with body image issues have used to lose weight. There's been almost 33 deaths in the UK that we can attribute to the use of DNP over the years, and it's not safe for human consumption under any circumstances. Last year, we managed to get a successful conviction in Scotland for this individual. And we're being quite innovative in Scotland in terms of how we approach food crime. So we'll use laws that have been in place in Scotland for many, many years. So we're keeping it very simple. We're either using fraud, or we're using a common law crime called culpable and reckless conduct, where there's a risk to life. Very simple. In this case involving DNP, that individual was convicted of culpable and reckless conduct, and he was in prison for 37 months, and that was reduced to 24 months on appeal, but we're still waiting for the proceeds of crime legislation to kick in terms of targeting that individual's assets. So it was a unique case for us, first conviction for us, first type of investigation dealt with in that way, using that type of crime linked to food. And that's the way we're moving forward, to be honest with you, with all the other cases that we're facing at the moment.
Oh, wonderful. Well, congratulations on that successful convictions. More than 30 deaths from one single product. That's unbelievable. So hopefully you have, I'm sure you have an arsenal of tools that you use. And are there tools that the industry can use as well that may help them in identifying the risk of food fraud?
Yeah, without doubt, John. I think what we've seen is that one of the figures. I'll just throw a figure in there, but there was research done by colleagues at the Food Standards Agency last year, published last year, which says that the cost to consumers, businesses, and government is between 410 million and 1.96 billion a year. Absolutely massive. And there's no way that we can tackle that volume of fraud with units the size that we have in Scotland. So we have to look at prevention. We have to look at working collaboratively with industry, with academia, with other regulators, with anyone who's got that common purpose to try and tackle and I suppose be involved in the fight against food fraud. Last year, just towards the end of last year, we developed our Scottish food crime risk profiling tool for businesses. So it was developed in conjunction with industry, academia. We tested it with, I think it was about 25 businesses in the UK, and we've now launched it. And it's quite simple. It's an assessment. It's a self-assessment. Businesses can go online on our website. There are four key areas we look at that they have to assess themselves against, which is strategy, performance, organisation, and culture. And there's 10 statements under each of these. And businesses should assess themselves against each of those. They'll get a unique report within 20 minutes, which will highlight where they're vulnerable to food crime. The report also gives them bespoke guidance, which they can use. And we're going to follow that with free virtual workshops for all those individuals that have taken part or used the tool over the coming year. So anyone can get access. It can be used by anyone. It doesn't have to be a Scottish business, but you can get access to that by looking at our website.
Fantastic. I'll include a link to that for sure. Ron, we have less than 2 minutes left, so I want to talk to you about other initiatives that you may be involved in. Obviously, you're in Scotland and you have, you're focused on the Scottish market, but you need to collaborate with other governments and other agencies around the world. And is there any work going on, let's say, with GFSI that you're involved in, or anything that the listeners need to be aware of?
Yeah, I think it's very important when you're a small country and you import lots of products. How do you protect yourselves? Well, you have to try and protect yourselves by influencing others. One way we're doing that is we're very involved in co-leading on Operation Opson, which is a Europol-led operation that targets safe, unsafe, and fake food and drink, and that runs every year. And we are currently the co-lead for that. So we will continue to be the co-lead for that again next year. That includes all our European countries, and we're also involved in the Global Alliance on Food Crime, which has countries from the USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK involved, and we're coming together to try and tackle food crime head-on collaboratively, and we were looking to increase membership of that moving forward. So that's really important, because what that does is takes the fight beyond the borders of Scotland, and actually we're trying to work with colleagues to tackle this globally.
Wonderful. And is that falling under GFSI?
We're linking in with GFSI at the next meeting, which will happen in April, early April. It also ties in with the heads of agency construct that's also looking at a number of things across food safety, not just food fraud. So at the moment, we're trying to consider which is the best way, what's the best way to feed in and actually to, I suppose, report on and highlight to stakeholders what we're actually looking at. We've got 4 strategic objectives that we want to achieve, and we're going to try and achieve those over the next 4 years.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Ron. The 10 minutes goes very, very quick, and we just hit our 10-minute mark. So, Ron, I want to thank you for your career in law enforcement. I spent 5 years in Canada in law enforcement. It's the most wonderful job ever, and it's very difficult. I know that for sure. But I want to thank you for sharing your insights and wisdom today. I will include some links into this as well. And folks, there you go. There you have it. We have much, much more to come. We're going to have 8 more experts on this series, and hopefully it's a good learning experience. And for me, it's enlightening to hear from Ron that there is some global work going on. There's some global initiatives going on that are very, very important. Ron, thank you very much.
Thanks, John.